I'm Simon Gorsworth, and I'm here with a few friends of mine, Brian Chan, Phil Rowley, and Zach Dalton. And we're here on the banks of Chesterfield Reservoir in southeastern Idaho. And the purpose of this film is to give you a few tips about fishing sinking lines in reservoirs such as this.
There are many times when lake anglers need to be fishing with sinking lines to increase fishing success. Changing water chemistry, water temperature, and weather patterns will dictate the proper lines to use so that you present your fly in the proper depth zone.
Most anglers buy a sinking line more out of hope. Hope that the line will take the fly down to the fish, and hope that the fish will bite the fly.
Knowing a few facts behind sinking line design will greatly increase your odds of catching fish.
One good tip fishing sinking lines is to count the depth. And simply that means you count how many seconds you let it sink before you start the retrieve.
So for example, if we take what Simon has just said and use different increment counts in seconds, I can explore the entire column to find fish. So for example, my first cast could be 5 seconds down. Retrieve the fly back, no luck. Second cast, 10 seconds down. Same result. Retrieve the fly, no luck. 15 seconds down, I get a bump. From now on, I'm going to fish that fly line at 15 counts down to catch fish.
Using this knowledge is great for when you work together with your boat partner. I have a deep 3 line, one that sinks at 3 inches a second, and that's a lot slower than the deep 6 that Phil's fishing. This means that working in tandem we can search the water at different depths to try and find the fish. I can fish the top 10 feet very effectively with a slower sinking line, and Phil can count and get down deeper quicker and cover those deeper depths quickly. And you work in tandem like that until you find the fish, and then whatever line works the best and whatever count works the best, both of you start to go to that technique in that depth.
Another tip to consider when using sinking lines is the effect of your retrieve speed. Too many people count their flies down to the same depth but use varied retrieves. Realistically, they're fishing at different depths. For example, you fish a faster retrieve, you're going to fish higher in the water column. A slower retrieve is going to put your flies lower in the water column, nearer the bottom. So remember that your retrieve speed has a big effect on where your flies are actually swimming through the water column.
RIO's new lake lines, the In Touch series, are manufactured with 2 unique manufacturing processes. One is density compensation, the other is connect core. Density compensation basically means that we put a denser coating on the last 2 feet or 3 feet of the tip of the fly line. The thinner diameter of the taper necessitates the denser coating to ensure that the tip sinks first. Fly lines that were manufactured without this technology, with the thicker belly section, would plummet first and just drag the fly line down. The fly lines with the density compensation ensures that you're going to have direct fly contact and a closer connectivity to the fish to detect the subtle strikes. The Connect core is a unique core where it has 0 stretch. Fly lines manufactured without this core have about 30% stretch, or 3 inches for every 10 inches of fly line outside the rod tip. You can see me stretch this fly line that has a Connect core. You can see very little elongation here. Here's a fly line manufactured without the Connect core, and you can see how much give there is. And that's only compounded with the more line that you have outside the rod tip. So with density compensation, the tip sinks first, greater strike detection. The Connect core, 0 stretch, greater strike detection.
When fishing streamers, many anglers miss the chance to catch fish. Quite simply, they strip the line in, dum-de-dum-de-dum, don't get a grab, they don't feel anything, and without doing anything they just lift the line up, start casting and bung the fly out again, hoping for the next take. And all they're left with sometimes is this big swirl, this big boil in the water, indicating that a fish was following that fly and wanted the fly, and they just tore it out of the fish's mouth and make the next cast. So be very careful when you're fishing your lines, sinking lines in particular, and streamers generally. When you're pulling the fly close up to the boat, just assume the fish is following it. It's half interested, and change your fishing technique. And to that extent, one of the things we incorporate into these in-touch lines is a thing called a hang marker. Now, a hang marker has two purposes. The first purpose is a very simple one. It alerts you to when you're getting towards the end of the retrieve. I can stop, make a cast, and I've still got enough fly line outside of the rod to make the rod load and make a 2-cast shot and the line's out. Again, another common mistake, particularly fishing sinking lines, is that anglers tend to strip it in, not necessarily this speed, but they strip the line in, nothing's grabbing, nothing's grabbing. Maybe they'll fish the hang, maybe not, but what happens is that the line, because it's sunk, they don't know where the end of the line is and the leader, and they'll strip the line and the leader into the rod rings, and then once you've got some leader in the rod rings, then it's really hard to make that first cast because there's no fly line and it's like flailing and line's not shooting out. And, yeah, what's going on here? So it takes a lot more casts. So one advantage the hang marker has, it indicates exactly when to make a cast. I'll pull the hang marker in right to my finger, lift up, and it tells me that I've got enough fly line outside the rod to load the rod. I can start making a cast, and because there's so much line out, the rod loads, 2 casts, and I've got the fly line out in quick succession. As you get more experienced at fly fishing, you actually want to use the hang marker as a hang marker. And fishing the hang is a very, very deadly technique that eliminates those swirls and boils I just mentioned. Quite simply, you strip your line in, or you figure 8 your line in closely and slowly until you get the hang marker close to your finger. And then you lift the rod up and accelerate and just hold the rod still, raised, for 5 to 20 seconds, fishing the hang. And following fish will see that and see the fly starting to head up to the surface and accelerate and grab it. And I've had fish take after at least 20 seconds of hanging, just holding, boom, little tap, and up you set the hook. And you know that without fishing the hang, you wouldn't have got that fish. So the key to this hang marker is twofold. One, it eliminates that pulling the leader into the rod, having difficulties casting. But secondly, it makes you aware of exactly where to stop the retrieve, fish the hang, and then make the next cast if nothing bit.
And there you go, Simon. Look at the results. We have a fish.
What count was that?
It was hanging. It was just hanging, Simon.
You got that on the hang?
I was just hanging it right below the boat, and all of a sudden it started bouncing. Ate the leech.
It's a hog.
I know.
That's a big one.
Don't do that head shaky thing. Oh, it's right in the beak.
Top lip.
Should be all right. He's getting tired. Always at the end here, they have one last rush.
Nice job, that's a beauty.
Not bad. Come on, show your sides. Show me your beat. There's your last rush.
So it was totally on the hang.
I was just sitting there, and it just all of a sudden started
Just bang.
bump, and then thump, 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 thump.
That's why you have the hang markers.
That hung for almost 20, 30 seconds.
Perfect. I fished mine 20
Yeah.
seconds plenty of times.
Oh, well done, my friend.
Still, nice fish.
Well done, nice netting. Oh. Here's where we both tip the boat over.
Type on that.
Yes,
It's got some serious teeth. I'll check your leader after this one.
Yes.
Oh, it hooks out.
yes, barbless. Well done.
One final tip to maximize your fishing time on the water is to take advantage of the welded loops that are built into every RIO in-touch fly line. This is a very useful tip, particularly if you're fishing out of pontoon boats, canoes, kayaks, or prams. Let's say we're fishing with a type 5 line and I'm going to move into shallow water to fish a shallower depth zone. So I'm going to be using a leader that's at least the length of your fly rod that you're using. So I've got a 9.5 foot rod here. I've got about a 10.5 or 11 foot leader. I'm simply going to wind in my fly line till the fly touches the tip top guide. And then I'm going to take my nippers. I'm going to cut off the butt section off the end of the welded loop. So just hold on to the butt section of your leader, and I'm just going to take the reel right off and then put my type 3 line on. So just replacing the reel with the line. So the reel's on, and I just take my butt section of my leader again, thread it through the welded loop, retie another improved clinch knot, so. Back through, wet it, snug it up, take my nippers. Now I've got leader back on. I just wiggle the fly out the end of my tippet. This is really useful if you're using multiple flies, because then you don't have to clip off 2 or 3 flies, have to retie them. It's very quick. Get some line off. And I'm back fishing with the proper sinking rate that I want to catch fish with.
Like in any fishing environment, being armed with a little knowledge and a game plan to fish lakes certainly makes a big difference to the angler. But so too does having the right gear. And today we've been using RIO's in-touch lake lines to show you these top tips on fishing lakes. These in-touch lines have revolutionary features that a lot of other sinking lines don't, and help you catch a lot of fish.
So the next time you're considering a new sinking line, think of a RIO in-touch line, because you can feel the difference. Thanks for watching.
The new in-touch lake lines from RIO, the most incredibly advanced range of sinking lines ever made. RIO, make the connection.